What's up, YouTube? Jake Gisler here, and you are watching How To with Jake. If you are new to the channel, I'm a cinematographer that is from Chicago, Illinois, and I do a lot of different types of videos that teach other filmmakers how to be great and how to continue building within their craft. I post what I know about the filmmaking industry and what is specific to me and what I know how to do. So take what you can. Subscribe to the channel if you're trying to learn more about filmmaking and just be a better filmmaker, because that is what I strive to do every single day. Now, we can jump into the How To with Jake. Today you are going to be watching how to color grade within Premiere Pro and all the great things that come with Lumetri color inside of Premiere Pro.
Alright guys, so the first thing that you're going to do is open up Premiere Pro. Once you open up Premiere Pro, you want to import your source footage or whatever you're going to be color grading, and you guys can feel free to do this along with me with any footage that you may have that you might want to try and color grade. So once you have the clip that you're going to color grade, go ahead and just drop that into your timeline, and here we go. We're going to go into the color workspace. So this is Lumetri color, and this is what we're going to be diving into. Within Lumetri color, you have all the different aspects. You have your basic correction tab, which is shown here. You have your exposure, which will brighten it up. Contrast, which will obviously make the image darker. You have your highlights, which is kind of works the same way as exposure. Shadows, same thing. It's, bringing up the shadows or bringing them down. A quick tip for anyone that's using these sliders: whenever you do something and you really don't like it, all you have to do is actually just double tap right where the little node is, and then that will bring it right back to 0. So that's just a quick tip. This is like your basic correction, as it says. I mean, there's really no better way to put it. This is also a place where you can add a LUT, which there's two ways that you can add a LUT within Lumetri color. There's this way within the basic correction, and there's another way in the creative, and I will get into that and tell you why I like the creative version better, and I think that a lot of people that utilize this for color grading will say the same exact thing. For this clip, I'm just going to do a basic grade on the clip itself. I generally like to start by adding a LUT to the footage, because that way you can figure out what LUT looks the best, and then from there you can tweak and do all the different things you have to. So now I've gone down to the creative tab. Within the creative tab, the reason why I like to do the LUT in here is because you have your look, which is actually the LUT. LUT stands for lookup table, therefore this is the best place, and that's why it's called look. So I have a LUT that I can utilize inside of mine. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to go super hard, I'm just going to do a basic grade. Okay, so once you've added the LUT, you have all these other things inside of this that you can add. You can add the faded film, which faded film is basically just taking the contrast and bumping it downwards. It basically adds that nice little fade to the shadows and somewhat of the highlights, but more so the shadows. So it's really just pulling the contrast down. Sharpen, I don't tend to use sharpen very often. It's just exactly what it says, sharpening the footage. Then you have your vibrance and your saturation down here. Then in addition to that, you have your shadow and your highlight tint, where you can make these tints different colors. So then you can go down to your curves. The curves are a great tool for getting a cinematic look, because you can add that S curve that most footage actually follows. So when you do that, you just pull your contrast down and pull up your highlights up here. Obviously this footage was not shot with the intention of saving the highlights by any means. I mean, look at that, it is just destroyed. But also a great tool about Lumetri is that you can work seamlessly with your scopes on the left hand side. So you can work seamlessly with your scopes on the left hand side, but as you can see, like while you're working on pulling the footage down, it'll actually live update on the left hand side in your scopes. I can do a different tutorial of how to color grade, because this is more so just showing you guys how to utilize Lumetri, and I can get more in depth about what these scopes actually mean and walk you through that, and that'll be for another video. And within this, you also have your reds, your greens, and your blues, where you can actually affect these the same way. Then you have your saturation, which is just adding a saturation to the look. You can kind of pull this in whatever way you want. I actually kind of like how that looks. It gives it more of like a teal and orange vibe. Everybody loves their teal and orange these days. From there, then you can do your color wheels and your match. And the color wheels, this is just your basic, pulling, adding, getting more and fine-tuning the shadows, and so you can add a little bit of a tint there. You can add some to the midtones. What I've found in most cases, you're really only going to utilize the midtones color wheel, because the shadows and highlights are a little bit intense. So as you can see, if I go in the highlights, it's going to make it really red. If if I go up that way, or if I go to blue, it's going to make it super blue. And that's just because your shadows and your highlights are what make up the image. The midtones are kind of the blend of that. So if you want to add a different color to your image without making it overpowering, the midtones is always the best way to go. I do not utilize this portion of Lumetri too often. I personally believe that it's quite confusing to utilize in this software. I've never found a need for it. Obviously, I could tell that, you know, it makes sense when you want to add a specific color that you want to pull desaturation down. I find that it doesn't work the way I always want it to, and it usually gives me more of a headache than helping me, so I tend to not utilize it that much. And then finally, you have your vignette, which I actually don't use this very often either. I'm not a big fan of adding vignette unless it's really needed, but for most cases it's not, so I don't add it. This is just a broad overview of what the software looks like and how to utilize Lumetri for color grading with your footage.
So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that this video showed you exactly what you need to do if you want to color grade your footage within Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is a very complicated software when you first use it, but once you get the things down, it is an amazing software, and it's so seamless in editing, but also in color grading, and you can kind of do everything within that one umbrella of the software itself. So I really hope that you enjoyed watching this. I hope that it taught you how to do what you need to do in Premiere Pro for color grading. Please subscribe below if this video brought value to you. I will be posting a lot more content that's going to help you grow as a filmmaker. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.